So, hello everybody. Those of you who are afraid of white papers may find this site a little bit daunting, but don't worry, we will be filling up this white sheet of paper very, very soon, because today what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Cypher System, and you can look at my Cypher System review, where I said I was going to create an already existing character from a system called Midgard, and I'm going to, as it were, port it into Cypher to see how Cypher holds up when you're actually trying to create a particular type of character. Now, the type of character we're looking at in the system is a priestess, and she's a helper. There are two types of priests. There are the helpers, and then there are the fighter priests. So the helpers are usually the ones that heal, that try to make the world a better place. In that particular system, Midgard, every single character class can fight. Some less well. It means that they only get very few points that they can spend on weapons training, but every single one of them can at least wield one weapon. So when we now look at the Cypher System, we know already that this is a fantasy game. So we know that we start out by saying, I'm a who likes blah, blah, blah. So who likes doing certain things. So I'm an adjective, noun, that, verbs. So we know that she's a priestess. So let's take a look at page 253 in the Cypher System book, where we look at fantasy genres. And when we say we are a cleric, that's kind of what she is. Priest, cleric, that's kind of what she is. We would be looking at the character type, the Cypher character type of speaker with a flavor of magic. So we're looking at type, speaker, flavor, magic. So the easiest way to create a character, and I've given this some thought, is to start by looking at the type, and we're going to do this. And the speaker has of course the ability to speak really well, so you might even think of your bard in D&D, for example. And we will start with a stat pool. They have a might of 8, so that's from the speaker type. They have a speed of 9, and they have an intellect of 11. So those are the basic stats. We can then, of course, also, we will just note down that we've got an effort of 1, and we have an intellect edge of 1. They can use light weapons without penalty. They have an inability with medium and heavy weapons. They can bear 2 ciphers at a time, but we're not going to look into this at the moment. What we're going to do is we're going to look at their special abilities. We can choose 4. Anecdote, babel, demeanor of command, encouragement, enthrall, erase memories, fast talk, inspire aggression, interaction skills, practiced with medium weapons, spin identity, terrifying presence, understanding. Okay, so now we need to choose 4. Next, we're going to look at the flavor. The magic flavor And you can now take a first tier magic ability and swap it out 1-for-1 with a first tier ability of the speaker. So we know she is a priestess, so we're definitely going to go with Blessing of the Gods, because it makes sense. Blessing of the Gods comes with its own sub-abilities, as it were, so we will look into those later, but Blessing of the Gods, definitely. So then we're going to take a look at the other ones that we have. Closed Mind on page 119. What does that do? You are trained in intellect defenses and have +2 armor against damage that selectively targets your intellect pool. Okay. Entangling Force. A target within short range is subject to a snare constructed of semi-tangible lines of force for 1 minute. The force snare is a level 2 construct. I'm not sure. Hedge magic, that doesn't sound like something she would do. You can perform small tricks, temporarily change the color of basic appearance of a small object, cause a small object to float. Nope. Magic training. You are trained in the basics of magic and can attempt to understand and identify its properties. That makes sense. Mental link. You open a pathway to another creature's mind via a light touch. No. Premonition. You learn 1 random fact about a creature or location. No, no. That's actually enough. So we're just going to pick the remaining 2 from the speaker. Let's take one more look at the weapons that they suggest for a fantasy setting. Yeah, she would need medium weapons training for the type of weapon she wields. So she's going to get practiced with medium weapons. And interaction skills. Terrifying presence. I don't think this would fit. You convince 1 intelligent target of level 3 or lower that you are its worst nightmare. No. Understanding. You observe or study a creature or object. Your next interaction with that creature or object gains 1 asset. Okay. Spin identity. You convince an intelligent creature who can see That you are someone or something other than who you actually are? No. You are trained interaction skills. You are trained in 2 skills in which you are not already trained. Choose one of the following: deceiving, persuading, public speaking, seeing through deception, or intimidation. Oh, we'll take that interaction skill. And we will choose persuasion. Persuade, and what was the other one? Seeing through deception. So we now have the 4. So we have now taken our type and our flavor. Next up are the adjective and the verb. Now, I've given this some thought because those foci, so basically the verbs, there is just so many of them. And I've gone through them and I have come up with the perfect one for her. And I will have to say that I would be able to create almost every single character I've ever played in any system in this book. If you choose flavors, etc., and you choose your focus and your adjective wisely, you will be able to recreate anything you can think of. She's going to be somebody who works miracles because as a priestess of the goddess of Vana, she actually heals. So in tier 1, she gets a healing touch. So she has healing touch. Works miracles is her focus, and interestingly enough, and it also gives the GM intrusions, so that's really helpful. And lastly, we have to take a look at the descriptor, at the adjective, and that's going to be a little bit difficult. And here you actually also have to think about, you can think about even things that are kind of outside the box. So for example, we could check out strong-willed, because this character definitely is that. We will see what this does. A strong-willed character gets +4 to their intellect pool, which makes perfect sense because intellect is what she's going to be doing. You're trained in resisting mental effects. You're trained in tasks requiring incredible focus or concentration. But it doesn't mean you're brilliant. Any task that involves figuring out puzzles or problems, memorizing things, or using lore is hindered. You're tough-minded, willful, and independent. No one can talk you into anything or change your mind when you don't want it changed. This quality doesn't necessarily make you smart, but it does make you a bastion of willpower and resolve. So we could go for this. I mean, this is also something where you can say you're going to give your character something that doesn't have to be in line with necessarily what they do for a living. So a priestess doesn't have to be good. She doesn't have to be kind. Stealthy isn't her thing. She's not very strong. She's not swift. She's also not tongue-tied. And she's also not tough. I mean, she's not vicious. She's not weird. Virtuous, not really, because that's really for paladins and it gives you additional might. Sharp-eyed, not really. Rugged. You're a nature lover, accustomed to living rough. No. Skeptical might work. Risk-taking, she's not. Perceptive. No, she can't be perceptive because it involves positive social interactions that have an inability, and she's definitely not that. It wouldn't work. Mystical. +2 to your intellect pool. You're trained in all actions involving and identifying or understanding the supernatural, you can sense whether the supernatural is active in situations. You have an inability, you have a manner or an aura that others find a bit unnerving. Any task but that works because she's mystical. She's very good at seeing through deceptions, but she's not good at actually being perceptive. So she's going to be mystical. Mystical, which gives her +2 to her intellect. She's trained in identifying the supernatural. So that's different from actually the whole thing about magic training, because this is not magic. So we're actually going to remove this. She's going to get a different skill instead. Because supernatural in this world is essentially also magic. So it's one and the same. You can sense magic. She can get hedge magic as a spell. So that works. She's unable to deceive. Or charm people. Or persuade people. Then we need to have a different interaction skill. Because she's unable to do this. She has an inability. Well, actually, that does work. You can have an inability and then have a training in something, and then they cancel each other out. So she's unable to deceive and charm, but she can persuade people. So that's fine. This actually works. I saw that in the rules actually. So she needs one more ability. From the seer, from the speaker. Let's see. What does Babel do? Does it mean you can, after hearing a language spoken for a few minutes, you can speak it and make yourself understood? Yeah, as a linguist, I know that this is never possible, so I don't like this one. I would not allow anyone to take this. Demeanor of command. I'm going to go with erase memory. Now we need to take a look at the skills. That's where I find the rules a bit weird, because skills are different from abilities, but I find it a bit difficult to really make out the difference. And I'm also unclear when it says, you know, you are trained in all skills that deal with blah, blah, blah. I'm not quite sure what this actually means. We look at sense magic. where the sense magic was, where the descriptors were. Skill. You are trained in all actions involving identifying or understanding the supernatural. In all actions, that's your skill. Then there's also a list of skills somewhere that I saw. Where was that? Astronomy, balancing, biology, botany, carrying, climbing, computers, deceiving, disguise, escaping, geography, healing, history, identifying. So if you gain a skill, you've already, so basically you could choose a skill that incorporates more than one of these areas. I don't understand where the list of skills is. So I'm kind of like, can you just come up with these? It seems like it. So if it says she's automatically trained in identifying, understanding, etc. of the supernatural, all actions that include this or have something to do with this, I assume that if I go somewhere and the character sees something weird, there's kind of like an aura or something, or there's a glowing orb, she can use this skill to identify it, and she is trained in it, so she gets a bonus. I think if you're trained, it means that the step is lowered by 1, so the difficulty is decreased by 1, so the target number is reduced by 3, and it would probably be an intellect check. So I suppose this is then really narrative. You kind of make a decision, okay, this is kind of identifying something supernatural or understanding it, and hence she gets a possibility. Okay, so she gets help there. So let's just do this. Blessing of the Gods. We still need to look this up because she gets 2 out of a list of things for Blessing of the Gods. Here, Blessing of the Gods. Here we've got authority, law, peace. You prevent a foe that can hear and understand you from attacking anyone or anything for 1 round. So if you have this, you have 2, you can choose 2 abilities. So she gets 2. Benevolence, righteousness, spirit. 1 level 1 demon spirit or similar creature within short range is destroyed or banished. In addition to the normal options for using effort, you can choose to use effort to increase the maximum level of the target. Thus, to destroy or banish a level 5 target 4 levels above the normal limit, you must apply 4 levels of effort. Death, darkness, a target you choose within short range withers, suffering 3 points. No, she wouldn't do that. Desire, love, health. With a touch, you restore 1d6 points to 1 stat pool of any creature, including yourself. Okay. Earthstone, you're trained in climbing, stonecraft, and spelunking. No. Knowledge, wisdom. Choose up to 3 creatures, potentially including yourself. For 1 minute, a particular type of task, but not an attack roll or defense roll, is eased for those creatures. That sounds good. Nature, animals, plants. No. Protection, silence. You create a quiet bubble of protection around you to an immediate radius for 1 minute. The bubble moves with you. All defense rolls for you and all creatures you designate within the bubble are eased. Sky, air. A creature you touch is immune to airborne toxins. Sunlight. You cause 1 creature or object within short range to catch fire. Trickery, greed, commerce. No, that's not her. War. A target you choose within short range deals 2 additional points. No. Water, sea. Okay, no. I believe how does healing touch work? You restore 1d6 points to 1 stat pool. Yeah, so we don't really need to take desire, love, health because we already have healing touch. And healing touch is 1 intellect point, whereas this one is 3 intellect points. So we will go with benevolence, righteousness, spirit. And then we've got another one, and that's going to be knowledge and wisdom. Because this is kind of like giving somebody a blessing in some other game systems where you basically make it easier for them to perform something. So that would be page 114. Okay, so since this all takes intellect, we have 6 points to spend. So we're going to put 3 on here. 2 on might and 1 on speed. So we have 10, 10, 16. Yeah, so this is the result. And what I have to check is when you look at the flavors, when we look at the type, let me just, second tier speaker, basic follower, calm stranger, disincentivize, gather intelligence, impact, impart ideal, inspiring ease, interaction skills, inspiring ease, 154. Okay, it's like a bard singing. You sing to them and then they basically, or you tell them a story. Okay, and let's see what the flavor does. Second tier, concussive blast, fetch, force field, lock, repair, flash. Distance viewing, fire bloom, fling, force at distance, summon giant spider. Elemental protection, ignition, pry open. Create divine intervention, dragons, more fast travel through senses. And we then look at works miracles. Yeah, they are different. Okay, so you don't get the same ones, so that's good. Okay, so I suppose that we can say we now have our final priestess helper. She gets the blessing of the gods, benevolence, righteousness, spirit, so she can banish demons or spirits. She has knowledge, wisdom, which she can impart in people so that they ease a task. She is practiced with medium weapons. She has the interaction skills, seeing through deception and persuade, which basically the persuade one counteracts her inability to persuade, so she's untrained, so she doesn't get any inability. She can sense magic. She has hedge magic. She can erase the memory of someone. She has a healing touch. And she is trained in identifying and understanding the supernatural. So, and she can sense magic, so that's really good. She is quite strong in intellect because that's where she would be spending intellect points from. Her speed is reasonable, her might is also reasonable, but she would usually actually not necessarily stand at the forefront and fight anyone. And I think that she would be a super interesting character, and I believe that we could actually play her in the world from where the original character comes from. So like I said, I mean, it does take a while because you really have to think about which focus you want, which descriptor you want. If you want a flavor, you could even have an adept who's a magic user already and give them the magical flavor to give them additional stuff or change out abilities. That's also possible. But this was me trying to create a character that I know really well to see how flexible the Cypher system is. And I have to say it's super flexible, although it may seem daunting, you know, especially if you come from, let's say, DSA, where you buy character packages. So you say, I want to play this type of magician or wizard, and they come from this particular magical school, and then they basically tell you, okay, so this is what you get, these are the abilities, these are the spells, etc. And if you come from this kind of background, this may first of all look a little bit simplistic, because the first thing that you will notice is there are no spells. There are no spells. So how then does this work? Well, it works by simply saying, this is what you can do. How you perform it, if this is a spell, if this is something else, what this spell is called, etc., doesn't really make any difference, because it could be called anything in the world that your GM has designed for you. So this is Cypher System by Monty Cook. And by the way, somebody asked how much this was. It retails at $69.99 US, and it is readily available in Europe, UK, Europe, EU, no problem. You can actually buy it directly from Monty Cook Games, and they will ship from their UK warehouse within the European Union as well. And I just ordered 2 additional books for the Cypher System. We Are All Mad Here and Stay Alive. And they basically said, yeah, we're going to ship them from the UK warehouse to Ireland. So, like I said, I really recommend this book. I really recommend the system. And yeah, hopefully I will be able to showcase the system on my channel at some point. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.